Well, let's get a move on then. And this time around in the Union budget, you had the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who clearly walked the tech talk when it came to AI, data governance, and in particular the Digilocker in the budget. Let's connect then with Amit Ranjan. He is ex-product architect at Digilocker, who is joining in to discuss this and lots more. Thank you so much for taking time out. To begin with, the Finance Minister clearly went ahead and said that the scope for services in the Digilocker are going to be expanded. Can you just walk us through what exactly this means and what the implications are for overall fintech?
Yeah, I think it's very heartening to see the government going all in on Digilocker. I was reading the morning newspapers, and to my mind, I think there are three distinct and different announcements that the government has made with respect to Digilocker. Number one is the idea or the concept of Entity Digilocker. And Entity Digilocker is nothing but an organizational locker. So till now, the Digilocker that we know is essentially meant for citizens. It's meant for individuals. It's meant for people like you and me and the man on the street. But you could argue that the same logic could be extended to organizations. These could be businesses. These could be SMEs. These could be NGOs, trusts, government bodies. So any entity, any organization, they could also, benefit from the idea behind Digilocker. So I think the plan is to essentially roll out an organizational version of Digilocker. What I can share is that this feature has been kind of, requested for many years. And this is a feedback that has come in from the community. And I think the government is making the right move here by declaring that they'll be building the Entity Digilocker. The second piece, which I personally find very exciting, is the address updation feature for Digilocker using Aadhaar. So we all know that people move houses, people move cities, and their addresses keep on changing. And getting these addresses to get reflected in their official, government IDs and documents is a huge pain point. While this is possible in Aadhaar now, because Aadhaar has various means of updating the address, but the same is not true for your other IDs. For example, your PAN or your driving license or your school certificates. The address kind of remains static there. So what the government has announced is a very useful feature wherein using a combination of Aadhaar and Digilocker, you will be able to essentially update your address in different sets of government IDs and documents. So in my opinion, this is a real pain point. And once this is operational and it starts working well, then this will really make life, much easier for citizens in general and people who are essentially, kind of mobile across cities or even within the city, anytime there's a change in your address. And lastly, I think the third announcement was just in terms of expanding the scope of the different documents that are available on the platform. So I think they are doubling down there, and there'll be a larger set of documents, and you can see that its impact is going to be bigger in terms of whether it is fintech, whether it is ID checks, KYC, background checks. So overall, it's really heartening to see all these moves from the government.
Right, given now, that the ambit of Digilocker is really being expanded so much, I just want to understand, given that there is the fear of technical issues, perhaps in terms of processing and sharing documents, maybe becoming a little more time consuming and lack of trust from citizens in general for using this digital platform, do you think maybe that that still remains a concern, or that the lack of trust aspect now with the finance minister going all out and advocating the Digilocker is to a certain extent behind us?
I think the issue of trust and confidence in the system is an ongoing kind of a thing. To the best of my understanding, Digilocker is right now being used by about 11 or 12 crore Indian citizens. So there is still a long way to go. India is like 1.3 billion population. But as the usage grows, as the adoption grows, as people see their friends, family, and the general population starting to use, their own confidence, their own trust in the ability to use Digilocker, so that next time they are driving on the road and a cop stops them for driving license, instead of taking out the physical DL and RC, they show it from Digilocker. So that is, in my opinion, an ongoing process. It could be better. But given the fact that now the government is, in a very decisive way, trying to, drive its adoption in different ways, you can see an acceleration in that trust buildup. And it also goes without saying that, the whole architecture, the whole design of the platform is based on user consent and privacy. So that is that aspect is taken off as well.
Okay, fair enough. Can you just give us I know you touched upon this, but just give us a better picture as to what this Entity Digilocker is going to be exactly, and how a lot of MSMEs, charitable trusts, and even businesses can make use of it?
Yeah, so I'm not, I'm not aware of the specifics, but what I would imagine is that, they will probably use either the PAN or maybe, Ministry of Corporate Affairs kind of a registration. So any organization which has a PAN number or which is registered with MCA, I think they will get access to this organization Digilocker. And once they kind of get an account on Digilocker, so what they can do essentially is two things. Is that one is all their government IDs, their think PAN, passport, your registration numbers, your GST and IDs, and all your certificates. All that finds a place on the internet where they can safely and in a verified manner store these data points and documents. The other thing that the organizations also could do is some of their transactional data. So, for example, a lot of times organizations need to apply for loans with banks, or they could be applying for some government scheme or some government programs, and they need to submit various operational records. So the other thing that could happen is that they could actually use Digilockers to store their bank accounts, their other kinds of transactional statements. And once it is coming from Digilocker, the good thing is that it's perceived as verified and original. And that kind of does away with the need of physically taking out copies of these documents and taking printouts and going and standing in a line and submitting it across a counter. So all that process essentially kind of you have a digital twin of that process. It gets digitized. It is less time consuming. It is cost effective. There is a digital trail that is always available for future purposes. So it kind of makes life much easier for these organizations if they were to use Digilocker.
And Amit, I just wanted to get in a take from you if there was anything else that stood out in the budget according to you. There was a lot of talk of tech infrastructure, the digital ecosystem, artificial intelligence, 5G, anything that you'd like to highlight?
I still have to go through some of these, detailed aspects of the budget, but I think it's great to see the government kind of, at an overall level, kind of doubling down on the use of technology, because clearly I think India has through the use of these new age technologies, through India Stack, we are seeing the beneficial aspects of these initiatives play out in the larger economy. So I think to me the thing that stood out was generally there's a greater reliance and acceptance of the fact that these technologies are making a difference, and let's kind of move towards them in a bigger way. So to me, that was one of the biggest messages from the technology side that I could take away from the budget.
Fair enough. But thanks so much, nonetheless, for taking time out and joining in and walking us through what the future of the Digilocker could mean and the announcements made in the budget.